Hi. So you said that you had something to talk to me about with
Yes.
a problem with your co-teacher.
Yes, a problem regarding, I guess, students being kind of singled out and given more attention to is what's going on with the co-teacher that I work with in the pre-K class.
Okay. What do you mean when you say kids are being singled out and given?
Well, basically,
attention to?
during group work time, the co-teacher that I work with will work only with, I guess, 2 to 3 students, and I'm left with the rest of the group.
Okay. So how many students are there in your class?
There's 9 students.
So out of the 9 students, you're working with maybe 6 of them.
Yes.
And your co-teacher's working with the rest.
Yes.
Okay. Well, can you tell me a little bit more about the situation?
Well, basically, these 2 to 3 students are students that raise their hand, always answer questions. I guess maybe the higher achieving students in the class, and the rest of the students, some of them specifically need more one-on-one time. During that group work time, the time that they're doing worksheets or an activity, and that's not really being given to them because I can only do so much myself during that time or go to so many students, and she's only working with those 2 or 3.
So what I'm hearing is that a large amount of students in your class aren't getting the proper amount of attention that they need because I guess attention is being misdistributed between.
It's definitely being misdistributed. The amount of attention, I believe, in a classroom should be kind of equally distributed, and differentiated, and that's not what's going on here. So,
have you ever tried to address the situation with your co-teacher? Have you brought it up to them at all?
I haven't. I kind of feel uneasy about doing that because she's a long-term teacher. She's been teaching for a pretty long time, and this is my first year and first time co-teaching, also. So I am just being careful, or hope to be careful to not step on her feet in any way. And so I'm kind of the one that steps back a little bit, and she kind of has her way of doing things in the class.
Okay, so just to kind of clarify, I'm hearing that because you maybe feel that you don't have as much experience as other teachers, that you're not, you haven't maybe voiced your concerns yet.
No, I haven't. I don't even know how I would go about doing that, so I have not let her know my concerns about any of this. No.
Well, how do you feel about having a conversation with her about the situation? Is that something that you would be open to?
I would consider it. I think that I would have to be very careful about how I would word things, how I would go about asking her. She's very set in her ways, like I said. So.
Well, so let's look at the main problem here. So I feel like your biggest concern is trying to figure out how to have a conversation with your co-teacher about correcting the situation of how how you're working with the students. I mean, as far as her being with just a couple and you being, the time not being distributed properly.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'd say that's my main concern. Yes.
Okay. Well, with that being said, you said you're open to having a discussion with the teacher. Is there a time that you both are off that you could have a discussion? Have you looked at, when there's a possible time to meet?
Well, actually, our students go to music class every day at 1:20, and that's for a period of like 35 minutes. So it's a decent time for us to have lunch or get stuff done that we need to, and that would be the ideal time that I would ask for a meeting if I decided to do that. So there is a time, yes.
Okay. And do you think that you could initiate that, a meeting? I mean, do you think you could initiate a meeting for that time? I mean, is that something that you could, how could you go about setting that up with her?
Yeah, I think that I could do that. I think that if I casually, kind of mentioned to her that I wanted to meet with her about our students or discuss something during that time, I think that she would be willing to do that. I would just, again, have to kind of, I guess, maybe find some way to formulate how I would initiate that conversation with her. I think that's my biggest thing.
Well, you could, how could you brainstorm what you're going to talk to her about for the meeting? Have you tried to ever brainstorm what you would say?
I've thought about it, but haven't really come, together with a solid plan, I guess, for that.
Well, do you have main points, what you'd like to talk to her about?
Well, what I think that I would like to see happen is just that, I guess the time being given to the students would be like equally distributed, and maybe I would suggest something to her, that something along the lines of just kind of rotating to different students during an activity, if there's a way to do that. But yeah, I mean, maybe writing it down would be good. I don't know.
I think that sounds like a good plan, what you said about writing down some ideas. Perhaps, I don't know if you would like the suggestion that maybe you could write down what you want to talk about and kind of plan things out before initiating a meeting with her, just so that you feel more planned.
Right, like write down like the main points that I'm telling you that I want to discuss with her. Just write those things down, and maybe write down a way that I could say that. Is that what you're suggesting? I think that's, I think that would be a good idea. I think I'll do that.
So do you think you could just maybe get yourself prepared for the meeting and then initiate a time to meet with her?
Yep. I mean, as far as I know, during that meeting period, or that time, our off period this week, we don't have any specific thing we needed to do, so I could do it this week.
That sounds like a great plan. Well, do you feel like you kind of gotten any resolution out of this?
I feel much better now that I've just been kind of able to bounce some ideas off of somebody and kind of let somebody else know at least what I'm feeling. So yeah, I feel not 100% better, but much better than I did.
Great.
So,
well, yeah. I'd love to meet back up with you just to hear how things went and maybe discuss this further if that's okay with you.
Sure, that would be great.
Great, we'll set up a time.
Okay, thank you, Claire.
Bye.